Hello, it's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. Today, I want to talk about the eighth sign of Scorpio. I had to look at my notes just to make sure what I was doing there for a second. So Scorpio is number 8. It's co-ruled by Mars and Pluto. It's fixed water. It's the second water sign. Sorry. But what is the significance of number 8? I want to cover this first. Because as always, I like to look at the numbers and think about that. Well, number 8 is not a prime number. It is divisible by 2 and 4. 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 times 4, 2 sets of 4. So that is significant because not being a prime number, it does not hold itself together. Number 8 breaks down. And because of that, we have this association of death and rebirth. Because it breaks down and then it builds itself back together again, right? Unlike number 7, where it can't be broken down into constituent parts. I mean, yeah, you could do like 3 plus 4, but it's not like it's not divisible by any number except itself and number 1, right? That makes it prime. So it holds the energetic quality of prime numbers hold themselves together more. They're more stable. And when you get to the non-prime numbers, they're divisible by other numbers, 2, 3, and then therefore they have a tendency to break down upon themselves. And you know, if you think that's trivial, it really isn't. It has very deep significance to the meaning and essential qualities of Scorpio, number 8. So I just want you to think about that, like, and visualize the numbers. You can do it like in different ways. I'm going to show you some images, but if you think of like 2 stacks of 4, so like a tower with 4, and then it just like falls down upon itself because, you know, it's just not a very stable number, 8. You know, it's breaking down. Or 8 high, then it breaks down into 2 4s and then 4 2s and stuff like that. And that's very telling of Scorpio's nature, the breaking down quality, the death and rebirth, right? The crisis, yeah, that whole thing. And so while we're here, let me just share my screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's an octagon. Here's one of the images of number 8, and see how easily divisible it is. You know, we can divide it in half, vertically, horizontally, diagonally. Here's one image. Here's another image. Still an octagon. Octagon, by the way, isn't that the MMA fighting ring? Isn't that significant? Scorpio, number 8, octagon, fighting. It is. Here's another one. This is an octagram. See how it's composed of 2 squares, interlocking, overlapping, juxtaposed, right? And here is yet another image of an octagram. I have actually never seen this kind of octagram before, but it is fascinating. If we follow the lines, it's one, you know, one continuation. But we see the evenness with the number 8, and we see how evenly divisible it is. You know, we could slice it and dice it any which way. We come out with 2 halves that are identical and even. So that's fascinating. Let me go back to full screen while I talk about Scorpio. So, I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again just for now. Like, I have a pretty good understanding of Scorpio just based on my own nature, because I'm Scorpio rising, conjunct Uranus, North Node in Scorpio, as well as 8th house, Sun, and Venus, trine Pluto. So I have pretty strong Scorpionic energy in my chart. And Scorpio is not an easy sign. It is not a comfortable sign. It is not a sign that it's not fun for the ego. I'll put it that way, because Scorpio is not really an egotistical sign, unless somebody gets into the power aspect of Scorpio, which there is that, but it comes at a heavy price. It really does. It's ruled by Mars and Pluto, two very intense planets. Mars also rules Aries, but it co-rules Scorpio along with Pluto. Pluto's the farthest out planet, and it's most associated with the Scorpionic energy because it's transformative and deep. By the way, one of the things about Pluto, since we're talking about Scorpio, Pluto has a moon called Charon. Okay, it's the I believe it's like the boatman to the river Styx. But anyway, it's in the mythology, it's called Charon. But the person who discovered it had a wife named Sharon, so he wanted to change it to Charon, spelled with a C, spelled the same, but Charon instead of Charon. Not Chiron, Charon, Sharon. Anyway, Charon is almost the same size of Pluto. So what you have is almost like a binary planet when we were talking about Pluto, and they're rotating around each other, which is fascinating because now you have this really physical symbol of the transformative qualities of Pluto, because what it's doing is it's twisting and turning its influence, wherever it is in the chart, however it's influencing you, or wherever Scorpio or 8th house is, or whatever planets you have in the 8th house. That's what's going on. They're twisting, you know. So imagine somebody's like twisting you, right? Because of this dual nature. It's almost two planets. It's basically two planets. They call it a moon. They're almost the same size as each other. So it's like two binary planets twisting. So whenever you think of Pluto, Scorpio, 8th house, it's good. It would be good to keep this image alive of these two planets twisting around, churning the butter, churning your soul, churning your ego. And that's the transformative quality that Scorpio represents. And it's good to keep that in mind. So the modality and element is fixed water. So what's fixed water? Well, you could say it's like a lake or a pond or something like that. Or just, you know, what comes to mind for me is this idea that fixed water becomes very stagnant and potentially toxic, right? But on the other hand, we utilize stagnant or fixed water in things like fermentation, right? Like beer is fixed water. You let the beer sit and it ferments, and then we have alcohol, right? Or for some other things, you can let things ferment or pickle or, you know, develop, and either you're going to get one or two things. You're either going to get poison or you're going to get some kind of medicine. Or, I mean, you know, and sometimes they can be either one, like is alcohol a poison or a medicine? It depends how you use it. Obviously, if you're using it to get drunk and you become an alcoholic, it's a poison, but it can be used medicinally too, right? So that falls in line with the Scorpionic imagery, even because the Scorpio has the stinger, and from the stinger comes poison, venom. Actually, it's venom, and that is meant to kill you or at least damage you. Also, the needle. Whenever you have a needle, it's either poison or medicine, and I think, believe it or not, most of the time it's poison. Even when they say it's medicine, it's pretty much always poison. I mean, you don't really need needles for health, maybe in an emergency, but that's the rare exception. When I cut my knee wide open, I had a tetanus shot when I was a kid. So that's the rare exception, those type of things. But mostly, we don't need needles. We don't need the scorpion stinging us, because that's probably going to be poison. All right. So Scorpio rules the death and rebirth cycle. Scorpio placements often go through death of either physical, actual death, where they lose loved ones. People die around Scorpios. It's not Scorpio's fault. It's just the energy that we attract. It's happened to me several times. And it also rules rebirth. It's not just death. It's death and rebirth. It's that transformative cycle. So something new comes out of the death. And not necessarily like if you lose somebody, you're going to get a baby. but like there can be some positive transformation from going through death, either internal death, you know, some part of ourselves die. That's happened to me so many times where I just like, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm like dead for like a little while, and then I'm, you know, reborn, and something good comes out of it. That's the transformation. That's the Scorpionic transformation. And it doesn't have to be so dramatic. It just often is so dramatic with Scorpio. It really is. Like I've known Scorpio, like we all know Scorpios, but like, I mean, you talk to Scorpio people, Scorpio sun or Scorpio sun, Scorpio, anything, they're going to have some really, really harsh, sad tales, like car accidents, people dying from alcoholism. My brother was hit by a train when I was 10 and I got severe trauma. My ex-girlfriend, who I was still really, really super close to, died. You know, she was my closest friend. So things like that happen. Also, accidents can happen. I broke both my arms in 3 places in one fall. I cut my knee wide open. Crisis, transformative. Alchemy is also associated with Scorpio because of the still water transforming into either poison or medicine. The alchemical process is a transformative thing. Sex is associated with Scorpio, and that's very obvious with the scorpion imagery and the stinger, right? That penetrating, the phallic penetration, that's sex. Like I said, any injections, you know, heroin or vaccine or whatever you're using a needle for, that's Scorpio. Scorpio rules depth. There's nothing deeper than Scorpio, really. I mean, Scorpio rules the depth of perception. And that's why you can't bullshit a Scorpio. I mean, ideally, the archetype, there's some stupid Scorpios out there, I'm not gonna lie. But the depth of perception, that's Scorpio. Being able to see through all the lies, all the bullshit, to see through to the core, deeper than anything. That's Scorpio. Secrets. Scorpio rules secrets and hidden things, underground things, gems and oil and occult knowledge, astrology, magic, the secret societies, you know, all that stuff, psychology, it's all in the same thing. Psychology is understanding somebody better than they understand themselves for one of 2 purposes. Either you're going to manipulate them, which people who study psychology do. They manipulate your psychology often, or they can help you. They can help you come to a greater awareness of your own psychological motivations because they understand you better than you do. That's Scorpio. Scorpio, a strong Scorpio, an evolved Scorpio, will understand you better than you do. They'll see through your motivations. They'll see through your subconscious. They'll know what's motivating you, and they'll know how to manipulate you. That's the power that Scorpio can represent, right? That's also astrology, because in astrology, we see the chart and we see somebody's psyche through that. If you understand what astrology is, then you can understand a person's psychology and tell them about it and help them with it, as well as manipulate them if that's what you want. I like to help people. Am I manipulative? I like to think not, but probably I can be, especially if I'm all up in my ego. Sure, why not? I try not to be. So all the occult awareness is Scorpionic. Paranoia, trust issues. Scorpios are not quick to trust, and they tend to be more paranoid and suspicious of, you know, hidden agendas. Probably because that's Scorpionic to have hidden agendas. Scorpios are secretive, so like you probably can't trust a Scorpio unless you're really close to them, right? If you have earned their trust and they're trustworthy. If you haven't, then beware. Beware of Scorpios, because they're going to beware of you, because that's how they operate. they're not going to trust you. You probably shouldn't trust them until you know. And because of that, they are deeply aware of, you know, like bullshit. Like they have a good bullshit detector. Like they're going to be aware of somebody who's trying to manipulate or get the best of them. They're going to be able to see through the lies. They're going to peer into the depths. Scorpios are slow to accept others. You're not going to rush into a Scorpio just meeting them and get all in, you know, into their trusted inside sanctum. You know, it doesn't happen like that. You're not going to. Whether it's ascendant, sun, moon, any sign, they're going to be slow to take you in, to trust you. They rule with psychology. Control issues are very big. Scorpios are really into controlling everything that they possibly can. They want to control. They don't like things that are out of their control. They're very dominating. Scorpios love power. They love the rulership of power, having power over others, shared resources. That's the whole shared resources thing. That's power to Scorpio. When you know, they can take share of whatever you have. Basically, that means they're going to take the greater share, the dominion, the rulership. Even if it's not the greater share, they're going to take a controlling share, power share, you know, because Scorpio doesn't really deal with equal relationships. It sort of like Virgo, it's unequal relationships. Unlike Libra, Libra's equal relationships. Scorpio is unequal relationships. Scorpio wants to control and wants to have a greater share of the power in a relationship. So they're often be dominating, but on the other side, they can attract people who dominate them as well, right? So it can be one or the other. And that's why there's power struggles with Scorpio. Pain is often part and parcel of a Scorpio's life path because of the whole crisis thing. And they just attract, it's just periodic, things die. And when things die, it hurts. Things, you know, and it's not just actual physical, literal death. Well, it's literal death. It's not physical death always, although it can be. Sometimes it can be ego death or just death of something, right? Metaphysical death. But it's always painful regardless. So pain is just a regular part of a Scorpio's life. And they know they're very familiar with pain, very intimate with pain, right? Research is also big with Scorpio because of the ability to dig deep in any subject. So if they're scientists, they can make excellent scientists because of their ability to research and dig deep and discover things, hidden things from underground. If you want something unearthed, something that is hidden and secretive, and you want to get it out into the open, put a Scorpio on that task. They'll unearth that, all the hidden things from the underground depths, you know, whether it's actually buried in the underground. If you want to discover a hidden treasure, get a Scorpio, or if it's hidden information, get a Scorpio. Scorpios rule spiritual growth. I can't say it rules spiritual growth, but the Scorpio archetype is, as opposed to any other side, more connected with the movement of spiritual growth, of soul growth, because of the whole transformation thing, death and rebirth. That's for the soul's continued growth, the evolution of the soul. That's the real impetus behind Scorpio's transformation. And that's why it's such a difficult sign to deal with, because it's constant growth. If somebody has planets in Scorpio or intense Pluto contacts or 8th house planets, this is going to be a life of intense spiritual growth, right? Like Pisces, for example, is not really about spiritual growth. Pisces is about sort of basking in spirituality or creativity or, you know, imagination, the dream world, the subconscious, but it's not necessarily about the growth of spirit the way Scorpio is. So there's a difference there. And I know sometimes a lot of Pisces, you know, they're just like, oh, we're so much more evolved than everyone. maybe not. I mean, that really depends, but this isn't about Pisces. This is about Scorpio. Psychic awareness is really strong in Scorpio because of the water sign. And this is common with all the water signs, especially the kind of psychic awareness. And I've often said that we're all psychic because psychic, even just being able to think, is a psychic phenomenon. We're all psychic and our psychic energy expresses differently, but this is the most stereotypical idea of being psychic because Scorpio as a water sign deals with the feelings. So here we can get strong psychic intuition, strong psychic connections, tapping into the other worlds and receiving messages in Scorpio. Like I said, all the secret societies that are, especially nowadays, like it's all really coming to the surface. You know, the Masons, all the, you know, Knights Templar and all Illuminati stuff, that's all very Scorpionic, and they're all very occult. They're occult secret societies. That's why they're secret, because they practice occult knowledge. A lot of times not good stuff, bad stuff, but nonetheless, it's still a cult. And a cult is not bad in itself. A cult can be good or bad. It's neutral. It's like anything. It's like, is a bullet good or bad? Depends how you use it. Is money good or bad? Depends how you use it. Is a rock good or bad? If you throw it against somebody's head, it's not good. But if you put it in your garden and make it more beautiful, then it is good. You know? Anyway, I think rocks are good, basically. But shared resources, other people's money, power over others, leadership. Leadership is super strong with Scorpio because they become so strong through the transformation. Even the ego becomes really strong because it gets used to the pain and the transformation, and then they just become very tough as Scorpios get older. They don't start out super tough, Scorpios. They start out kind of weak, believe it or not. That's the nature of water. It gets stronger as it ages. I mean, as we all do. But I mean, certain signs have more affinity towards that than others. Scorpio gets stronger and tougher the older it gets. And they make great leaders because of that. Also because of their love for power and their intellect, great intellect as well. Scorpios are jealous because they love to control. And when they have a partner, especially who's going out flirting with other, you know, guys or girls, whatever you know, the gender is, or sexual preference, whatever. It's a lack of control, right? If a Scorpio's partner is out there doing stuff and flirting, sleeping around, whatever, they're losing control. They're losing power. The Scorpio does not have power over that. And it's very difficult for Scorpio to let go of that control, that power. That's one of the lessons that Scorpio needs to learn, is how to let go of control. And so for that reason, they become intensely jealous. Intimacy is also a part of Scorpio. Scorpios crave intimacy, they crave closeness, because it's the relationship axis. You know, Libra, then Scorpio. Scorpio is the intimacy part, it's the sex part, it's the merging together of two bodies into one. And that's the sexual union. And it's intimacy in general. Scorpios crave intimacy, and that's where a lot of their strength lies. And, you know, Scorpios really know how to be intimate with others. Intensity in general is a Scorpionic trait because of the Mars and the Pluto together. It brings so much intensity and depth, passion. Sexual magnetism is very strong with Scorpios. Even if they're not physically attractive, they exude sexual magnetism that attracts people in that way, especially sexually. Scorpios, because of their occult knowledge, also is very has to do with magic, right? Real magic, not the illusion of magic. I think the illusion of magic is more Gemini. The actual magic, what real magic is, that's Scorpio. I'm both, so I'm Gemini, 8th house, Scorpio, Ascendant. Anyway, because the illusion of magic has to do with sleight of hand, and that's Gemini. You know, like, look over here while I, you know, pull a card out of my butt. crisis is, like I said, that's also part of the death and rebirth thing, accidents. Also, drugs and alcohol, especially in secret. Like a Scorpio can have secret habits, secret drug addiction, secret alcohol addiction, and never tell you about it because of the secret quality. But drugs and alcohol, because of the intensity, the water nature, the very strong feelings that come with Scorpio, and also the association with fixed water, that Scorpios are either in their fixed water are either creating poison or medicine, or sometimes it can be either one. All right, let's look at the ascendant. And here we're going to learn even more secrets about Scorpio. Not just for Scorpio Ascendant, these are secrets about all Scorpio placements. Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Mars, Scorpio Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Pluto, all of it. Why? Because you can make a chart with any planet at the ascendant. You can make a sun chart and have your sun sitting at the ascendant, and it'll look just like this. You can have a moon chart with your moon at the ascendant, and it'll look just like this. And each one will tell about that planet. You want a Venus chart? Put your Venus on the ascendant, whatever planet, whatever sign it's in. If it's in Scorpio, it'll look just like this, and you'll learn about the Venus in your chart, how it relates, because this is all relative, right? For the Pisces sun, this is the 12th house. This is the second house. This is the first house for a Pisces sun, right? But right now we're talking about Scorpio. I'm just explaining to you the concept of how this works. So this is true not just for Scorpio ascendant, like I said, for all Scorpio placements. So Scorpio at the ascendant, well, everything I just said applies. Now, Sagittarius in the second house, and we're just going to use whole sign houses for the sake of this because, it's just going to be individual where the houses, the quadrant houses fall on your individual chart. But Sagittarius, second house. Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. It's very high-minded, philosophical. Second house is family, values, knowledge, wealth, assets, and self-worth, things like that. So the Scorpio's knowledge is going to be very Sagittarian, very high-minded. They're going to have a very solid foundational understanding of very high-minded things, right? Very intellectual mind. The second house is like the foundational mind. It's the Taurian mind. It's where we gather the facts, the knowledge, the awareness, the data. It's the assets of the mind. That's what the second house represents. It also represents our money. It also represents our family, and they can have a very philosophical family that loves to travel a lot. But the intelligence of the Scorpio is very strong with Sagittarius here. The fundamental knowledge, their knowledge is going to be very high-minded. Their values are going to be very philosophical. They're going to value philosophy. And yes, and they can, wealth can be, it's a good wealth indicator too, with Jupiter being the ruler here, depending on where Jupiter is and how it's placed, its aspects and everything. But a lot of intelligence here. Capricorn in the third, very authoritarian speakers and communicators. These are people who just kind of can really act authoritarian in the way they speak. Very serious, very intimidating. The Capricorn is going to have that authoritarian power and leadership in the intellect. Very great for leadership, because here's the intellect, and Capricorn is Capricorn is the natural leader in like a sort of like behind the scenes kind of sense, like the government, the CEOs, the managers, the leaders, the higher ups, the ones pulling the strings. Not like Leo. It's different than Leo. Leo is like the showman leader. We'll get to that. Capricorn's the one who's actually doing the hard work of leadership in the third house of the intellect. So this fantastic for any sort of communication, writing, speaking, skills of the hands, They can do all that in leadership capacity, right? Fourth house in Aquarius, their home is going to be very unique, and you're probably, if you go to Scorpio's house, they're probably going to be a lot more quirky, unique, and individual than you'd think. Their early upbringing can be very unique, out of the box. Mine was completely. Like, you probably can't even imagine how different my upbringing was, because I was born and raised into a macrobiotic household, and I grew up in study houses, and with all people. Anyway, it's a long story. A lot of people coming and going all over the place. Aquarius is also the sign of astrology, along with Scorpio. I think both of them really have a lot to do with astrology. But so if they're going to be an astrologer, they're going to learn it from a young age, likely, possibly. I did. I learned astrology from a young age because my father is still an astrologer, but he was back then, and we talked about astrology a lot, mostly Eastern astrology, Japanese astrology. That's my original astrology, Japanese 9-key astrology. But yeah, Aquarius in the fourth house is going to make them very unique at home and in their early childhood development. Fifth house Pisces, very creative, right? Because fifth house is a house of creativity. It's a house of fun and games, romance, kids, and Pisces is also a sign of creativity. So Pisces fifth house is incredibly creative, artistic, and it has a spiritual quality. Well, Pisces in general, but so does the fifth house. Fifth house deals with like spiritual, like rituals, mantras, old books, things like that, the formalities of spirituality, stuff like that. So they can be very spiritual from the fifth house. Also, they can be very loving and compassionate towards their children, and their children will have very strong spiritual significance and can inspire them creatively. And so can romance. Romance can take on spiritual qualities, spiritual dimensions, and be incredibly creative inspirations for the Scorpio because of Pisces here. Now, Aries in the sixth house. I mean, Aries is Mars ruled, Scorpio is Mars ruled, sixth house is fighting, right? Scorpios are fighters. If you mess with a Scorpio, you're not only messing with the Scorpio ascendant, you're also messing with Aries sixth house. Okay. And what other sign, just for fun, has Mars rules sixth house? Gemini has Scorpio in the sixth house, which is interesting because we don't often think of Geminis as fighters. We think of Aries as fighter, Scorpio as a fighter, maybe Leo as a fighter. I don't think of Gemini as really being a fighter, but Gemini is Scorpio in the sixth house, so watch out. But Scorpio is definitely a fighter. And their ascendant is ruling the first and sixth house. So wherever their ascendant Lord Mars is, it's going to have some trouble because it's always ruling the sixth house. So wherever it is, it's going to bring conflict with it. So Scorpios always have conflict following them around. If you weren't aware of that, you are now. Scorpios always attract conflict to some extent. They always attract fighting because Aries is not a sign that wants to bring peace or peaceful resolution. In the sixth house, it's going to fight. If it's Libra in the sixth house, that's totally different. Let's make peace. We have conflict. Let's make peace, right? And that is that would be Taurus ascendant. Taurus ascendant has Libra in the sixth house, so Taurus ascendant wants to make peace. Scorpio ascendant does not want to make peace. If you get on Scorpio ascendant or Scorpio anything wrong side, they're going to sting you with their stinger. They're going to attack you. Great at work, because here's the daily routine, daily mundane activities, work, life, health and sickness. And Aries is just going to go get it. Action oriented. Bring out that Mars. Let's get to it. Let's work. Let's do our daily routine. Let's get physical every single day. All right. Taurus in the descendant. Okay, here's one thing about Scorpio. Taurus is the slowest sign. So if you think you're going to meet a Scorpio and just, be on their inside trusted circle real quick, I'm going to jump around for 1 second. Gemini in the 8th house, yes, you can get in their bed real quick, okay? But you cannot be their partner real quick. That's the difference. That's Scorpio. That's why Scorpio has this is known for sexuality. This is one reason, because Gemini is in the 8th house. So yeah, you'll get in their bed real quick, but you're not going to be their boyfriend or girlfriend real quick. You can have sex with them right away, but you're not going to gain their trust. That takes a long time because of Taurus here. So you got to know the Scorpio for a long time. You have to earn their trust. You have to move slow because Taurus is here. And Taurus is going to attract a Taurian type person, very sensual, slow, stubborn, earthy, materialistic. They're going to love all that, Scorpio, but they're not going to be rushed. And if they try to rush, if they don't understand themselves, they're going to rush into bed, and then they're going to be like, no, I can't do this, and they're going to leave you. And that's just because they're ignorant of their own nature, because they can't, whether you're trying to rush Scorpio or they're trying to rush themselves, it's not going to work. Do not rush the Scorpio. Now, in relationship. Now, again, with sex, sure. Gemini is like butterfly, like, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try that. I'm so curious because I'm Gemini. I'm completely curious. Scorpio wants to try everything in bed, in the realm of sexuality. Try this, try that. But what's really fascinating is that this is the house of Scorpio, the 8th house, right? So why is Gemini in Scorpio's 8th house? Why is Gemini in the house of Scorpio and for Scorpio Ascendant? Well, I mean, if you think about what is Gemini, Gemini is the intellect. It's the foundational mind, the lower mind, the logic, the dot connector, it's the intellect. So here, Scorpio is using Gemini to understand its own nature. Scorpio, the 8th house brings Gemini nature deep because Gemini doesn't like to go deep. If you notice, Gemini likes to float on the surface and touch everything. Jack of all trades. It's like the butterfly, mutable air. But here, the 8th house is bringing the excellent Gemini intellect, because Gemini really has an excellent intellect. It's just too flighty to be able to go deep in anything. Here, Gemini is going deep. And Gemini is becoming very powerful. And it's bringing that intellect into all the secrets. And I have an 8th house Gemini sun. And that's why I can do astrology, because I have Scorpio Ascendant. So Scorpio Ascendant, 8th house Gemini sun, fantastic for the occult. It's bringing that Gemini into the depth, and it's connecting all the dots. And now Scorpio is really understanding its own nature. It needs Gemini, because if you put a water sign here, it's not intellectual enough. It's too feeling oriented. You can feel all the feels, but you're not going to understand it intellectually. Scorpio wants to understand it intellectually. It's got Sagittarius in the 2nd, Gemini in the 8th. It wants to understand, it wants to have philosophical knowledge and deep logical understanding of the occult 8th house secrets. Okay? It's very important to understand about Scorpio. This is a very strong placement, Gemini in the 8th. All right? Cancer is in the 9th, and there's a great love for philosophy. There's a great love for religion. I mean, potentially religion. I'm not religious, so it's not going to be religion for all Scorpios. It's going to be one or the other. If they're more into religion, they're not going to be into philosophy. If they're more into philosophy, they're not going to be into religion. If they're more into college, graduate school, they're going to be less into both, or maybe into both. Who knows? but there's a great love for ninth house matters, study of God, travel, long distance travel, philosophy or religion. It's going to be very close to the Scorpio's heart. They're going to have a great feeling for all that sort of thing. It's going to be very moving, very inspiring on a heart level, right? Cancer is where we bring our heart, where we bring our deepest emotions and feeling. So there's a great love and admiration for all the ninth house things: philosophy, religion, study of God, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, things like that. Jupiterian stuff. Now, Leo in the 10th house is such a strong position for Scorpio because 10th house is where we get recognized. It's our public career. It's Capricorn's original house. Leo loves to be in the 10th house because here it gets all the light. Here it gets the limelight. Here it gets everyone's recognition. And Scorpio, if you study astrology, Scorpio is actually the most requested sign to be talked about. Here's why. Leo is the sign that attracts the most attention, and it's prominent in the 10th house, right? Which is more prominent, first house or 10th house? I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say it's Scorpio. I'm not going to say it's 10th house, but it's every bit as strong in the 10th house as it is in the first house, because you have Scorpio and Leo here, right? If you have Aquarius on the ascendant, then you have Leo here. What do you think? Aquarius are so egotistical, especially like, in relationship, right? They think they're gods. A lot of that has to do with Leo on the descendant. So here, Leo's on the MC. Taurus, Leo's on the IC. You meet a Taurus in their home, they're the king. They're the king. Taurus are king at home. Scorpios are king in public life. And that's also why they're make such good leaders. And they're so attracted to positions of power, because this is the king, and the king is rising to the top. It's such a high position. It's such a natural position for Leo, and it naturally rises up Scorpio to positions of power and authority, up on the top, looking down on everyone else. The king is at the top with Scorpio. And it's very powerful, great for fame, great for recognition, great for the arts and creativity as well. But just in general, good for government, good for leadership, good for any type of power position, power and authority, recognition, fame, things like that. Scorpios can easily get recognized in society because of this. Virgo in the 11th house, excellent position for the intellect, because the 11th house deals with groups and networks, as we know, but the 11th house is also Aquarius's original house, so it's an air house, so it's very strong. The intellect is very strong here with Virgo here. We're overlaying intellectual, sign in houses. Virgo is very intellectual. Aquarius is a very intellectual sign. Is great for anything having to do with technology, the internet, networking, computers, technology groups and networks, where they have to use the mind, the intellect. Not fantastic for friends, for having tons of friends, because here Scorpio is becoming very critical and picky. Like, you cannot just be a Scorpio's friend. It doesn't work that way. They're going to vet you. They're going to be critical as hell, and they will not let you in if you do not meet their high exacting perfectionist standards, because Virgo is guarding the friendship circle. And Virgo is like, you are too dirty to be my friend. Sorry, but no, you are not smart enough to be my friend. No, you are not whatever, it's Virgo. The criticisms are endless. They'll just keep going on and on. I don't like the way you dress or whatever. Therefore, you cannot be my friend. It's going to be picky as hell. Scorpios are picky about who they let into their circle, and they like it that way. They're not the most popular person, even though they are on the outside in public life, but not in their friendship circles, not in the groups that they associate with, right? They'll be popular in a public way, not in a close way, not in a friendly way. right? And they don't care. You know, Scorpio just tell you to F off. Scorpio's good that way. They have a stinger and they're not afraid to use it. Okay, Libra in the 12th house. Now here we get some really interesting things about Scorpio, I think, because what is Libra? Libra is the sign of justice, of peace, of balance, of equilibrium, of number one. So if it's the sign of peace, being in the 12th house means it's hidden. So a Scorpio doesn't really know peace. A Scorpio will have no peace. And that's true if you know a Scorpio. Scorpios are so intense. Their Libra is missing. Their Libra is hidden. Their Libra is shut off in the 12th house, isolated, right? So peace is gone with the Scorpio. It's intense. It's fiery. It's passionate. And it's anything but peaceful. It's not peaceful being with a Scorpio. It's not peaceful being a Scorpio, right? However, being in the subconscious, Libra, there is that subconscious motivation. So peace is a strong motivator for Scorpio. It's just not in their outer personalities. You're not going to find peace necessarily being, around the Scorpio. A Scorpio is not going to find peace in their conscious personality, but it's going to be a subconscious motivator. Also, because Libra is so concerned with balance, with fairness, what happens if you hurt a Scorpio? What do you think happens? They're going to be motivated to seek balance. And that's why Scorpio is so dangerous, because Scorpio's in the 1st house, Mars is in the 6th house, Libra's in the 12th house. They're going to be motivated to seek balance. You hurt a Scorpio, they're going to make balance and they're going to hurt you. And this is it. Libra's in the 12th house. That's their subconscious motivation. They're just seeking balance by getting revenge. I know it's like funny, but it's really what it is. And that's why Scorpios are so vengeful. They cannot stand it if they're taken advantage of, if somebody hurts them, if somebody gets back at them. They are going to be subconsciously motivated to be fair. They're just being fair. They're being balanced. They're achieving peace and equilibrium by getting revenge. Okay? It's very important to understand. And the final thing about Libra in the 12th house is, being that 12th house is a house of spirituality and Libra is a house of peace, a sign of peace, that ultimately what they seek is that peace through spirituality. But that's why Scorpio is ultimately a spiritual sign, because their subconscious mind needs to be at peace. It's incredibly important to them. So that's why they're going to seek out spirituality. They're going to seek out evolution to bring about the peace of the mind, the peace of the internal mind, right? That's a deep subconscious motivation. So at the same time, they have this vengeful side to them that will get you back, will get revenge. On the other side of that token, they're seeking the balance and peace of rest and resolution and spirituality. So that's pretty much it for Scorpio Ascendant, all about Scorpio. All right. The 8th sign, still fixed water, still water. Still waters run deep, right? And that is essentially what Scorpio is all about. Still waters running deep. So that's it for now, guys. If you like this, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and share. If you want to book a reading, go to my website and macroastrology.com and book a reading from there, which is just, it'll redirect you to my email, but go to my website anyway. So that's it for now. Thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye.